any classification system across the world, across the history, which have included virus as an entity. So no classification system yet have included virus in its part. So viruses are out of the biological classification system. Whenever we talk about the classification system, we talk about the biological classification system. But viruses are not, in fact, a true biological organism. So if we talk about the viruses, virus. So what is the status of virus? If it is written over there that it is cell, so we cannot call it cell. So we cannot call cell term, or we cannot use cell term for virus. First important. Second important thing, we cannot call it organism. Actually, if you talk about the true definition of organism, so we call, or we give the status of organism to those which have life, but viruses do not have life. So we cannot, technically, we cannot use organism term for virus. Second, we cannot use cell term for virus. Why? Because there is a certain definition of, or we can say there is an ideal definition of cell. At least if we are using cell term, then the unit must have protoplasm and cell membrane. If protoplasm and plasma membrane or cell membrane is not present over there, then we cannot use cell term for it. These both things are absent in viruses, so we cannot use cell term for virus. So if we are not using cell term for virus, so what is the term which we are, what we will call virus? So in place of cell, we will call it is acellular organism. Sorry, this is acellular. Acellular means that is not a cell. So first we will call it is acellular. Second, it is not organism, it is a structure. So virus is a structure. So what is the definition of virus? If you'll call me, sir, define the virus. So I will call this is a acellular structure which is made up of two things. So what is the composition of this structure? It's not a cell, it's a structure. Then what is the composition of structure? Right. Let me explain you what is the composition of structure. In general, ideally, viruses, the structure of virus is made up of two things. First, a cover of protein, and second, nucleic acid. Or this nucleic acid can be also called as genetic material. Genetic material. So let me explain you what is actually nucleic acid. So there are two things which are termed or which come under the term of nucleic acid. First and foremost, that is DNA. So here we the full form of DNA is
deoxyribonucleic acid.
Right, ribonucleic acid. So look, the common suffix is nucleic acid here, as well as the second one is RNA. So that is ribonucleic acid. Here also the common term is nucleic acid. So both are the term, they contain nucleic acid. So commonly we call them nucleic acid. DNA and RNA are commonly called nucleic acid, and in the same time we also call them genetic material. So now both of you will tell me why we call them genetic material. Tell me, please.
Because they have nucleic acid in them.
Okay. So Rafiq, what's about you? Why we call them nucleic acid? Tell me, try at least. No. Look. You, me, and all of us, like we have some of the feature of our mother, and we have some of the feature of our father. So right, definitely. Am I correct? All of we have, yeah, a bit feature of like few features of our mother, few feature of our father. So how does these feature came into us? So for sake of example, from my mother and my father, the thing which have transferred to me, that is DNA, right? So this is the DNA which brought characteristic from one generation to another. Now what will happen? My son, it somehow he resemble with me, or somehow he resemble with my wife, right? So what is transferred from me to my son? That is DNA, right? So this is the DNA which is transferring from one generation to another. So DNA, or sometime in the case of virus, it is also RNA, not in us. For us, this is the only DNA which is genetic material. It is transferring from one generation to another. In RNA, in viruses, RNA is also genetic material. So DNA and RNA is called genetic material because they are the material, or they are the substance which transfer from one generation to another, and they bring down the characteristic of their parents to their offspring. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So note it down. DNA and RNA. DNA and RNA. These are a small information, so keep on noting now. Note करके note करेंगे. Right. So note it down. Just put a note over there. So DNA and RNA are called genetic material. DNA and RNA are called genetic material because they bring down characteristic from one generation, because they bring down characteristic from one generation to another. Now next line is very important. Generally this is DNA. Generally this is DNA which work as genetic material. Generally this is DNA which works as genetic material.
You can say from the starting. I just got logged out.
Sure, no issue. So from starting, like genetic definition
Yes,
of
sir.
genetic material.
Yeah, the dictate you dictating, right? The dictating thing.
Okay, fine. Note it down. DNA and RNA are called genetic material. DNA and RNA are called genetic material because they bring down characteristic from one generation to another, because they bring down characteristic from one generation to another. Full stop. Next point. This is important point. Underline it. Generally, DNA is genetic material, but in case of RNA, in case of virus, DNA and RNA, but in case of virus, DNA and RNA both works as, but in case of virus, DNA and RNA both works as, DNA and RNA both works as genetic material. Clear? Right. So there are
Yes,
some
sir.
more. Yeah. So there are some more basic things that I want you to note it down, because they have been asking in your medical examination, and in general you get these questions, this kind of a question in your school examination as well, right? So who discovered the virus, and which was the first virus of the world?
Sir, Whitaker, right? So, Robert Whitaker.
No, it's not Whitaker. This is let me give you a hint. It's he's a Russian scientist. Look.
Bajernik.
Yes.
Bajernik. His name is
Bajernik.
Bajernik.
No,
Yes,
no.
yes.
No, it was not Bajernik. Look. Actually, there was a scientist. His name was Ivanovsky. Actually, Ivanovsky was a pathologist. Means the scientist which used to. He was a Russian scientist. So he was a pathologist. Pathologist means those who work on pathology, means pathogens. So he was working on a disease, and the name of disease was mosaic disease of tobacco. So he was working on a disease, name was mosaic disease of tobacco. Actually, what was the mosaic disease? In mosaic disease, normally tobacco leaves are used as a product. So in tobacco leaves, there was certain spot, these kind of the spot, and he called this spot mosaic. So this was a mosaic disease. When he discovered, like when he was working on disease, he came to know that the disease is neither caused by fungi nor caused by any protozoa, and nor by this bacteria. He was very surprised. He haven't seen such kind of organism, and he given term virus. So he called this virus TMV. The name of the virus was TMV. TMV stand for tobacco mosaic virus. TMV stands for tobacco mosaic virus. So Ivanovsky was the first person who discovered virus, and the virus which he discovered, the name of the virus was TMV, and this virus, it spread disease in tobacco leaves, right? So this virus, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so note it down. Ivanovsky was a Russian scientist. He discovered virus. In 1892. Ivanovsky was a Russian scientist. He discovered virus in 1892. Full stop. TMV was the first virus discovered on tobacco leaves. Right? Okay. One more important. So what is the, is it clear till this point? Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So one more, second important. So viruses, I called that viruses are not living. So what is the biological status? What is the biological behavior of virus? So look, viruses are neither living nor non-living. Why? When viruses are inside any living cell or organism, when viruses are inside any living cell or organism, what they do, they start dividing, means reproduction. And if something is able to divide, this is living. So on the basis of this characteristic, we call viruses living. When viruses are outside of any living cell or organism, they do not divide, means they are behaving as non-living. So viruses are neither living nor non-living. So what we call them? So there is a status of virus that they are called connecting link. They are called connecting link between living and non-living. So neither we can call them living and non-living. Neither we can call them living nor we can call them non-living. So viruses are connecting link between living and non-living. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Note it down. Then I will show you the structure of virus actually. So Rafiq and Itsam, for both of you, do you have any like basic idea about the DNA and RNA? Both of you,
DNA is like a blueprint of our body structure.
right?
And then RNA, not much, sir.
Okay. Fine. Rafiq, idea about the virus, DNA and RNA? Do you have any idea about what exactly they are?
Well, sir, RNA is like it's similar to DNA. It's like a single-stranded, singles.
Right. It's single stranded. Fine. Okay, so note it down. Fine. So before going into like the structure, I would like to give you a rough idea about the DNA and RNA, right? So look, actually, the basic structure of DNA. This is genetic material in normal higher organism, right? So DNA, we have explained that this is deoxyribonucleic acid. Look, DNA is
I think it's to the
like,
back. Previous slide.
sorry.
Just a second. Previous slide. Just a
Achha,
second.
previous.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Just a minute. So look, what is DNA? I'm telling you one DNA. This is the basic idea actually. Whenever I will tell you, whenever I will teach you this one, your ninth, I think it's ninth chapter. That is biomolecule. So then I will tell you much more in detail. So till that time, I'm just going to give you a basic idea so that you can get the concept of virus. Look, so there are this ladder-like structure. These ladder-like, this pole-like structure, they are called strand. So DNA is made up of two strands. So we can call it DNA is what? Double stranded, right? So DNA is double stranded because it have two strands. Chemically, these strands are made up of two things. What are those things? They are called sugar and phosphate. So this is the backbone of DNA, like a ladder, the pole of ladder, they are strand. So they have two strands. So DNA is double stranded structure. And between these poles, there is a connecting link. What is that connecting link? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there are these 10 nitrogenous bases. Right? So this is the structure of DNA, right? So what we call generally DNA is double stranded structure. Clear? This is one DNA. And how many nitrogenous bases? They have 10 pair of nitrogen bases. Actually, they are pair of nitrogen bases. So they have 10 pair of nitrogen bases and two strands. So this is the structure of DNA. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So actually, this is the basic model which I have taught you. Look. Now you have a plastic ladder. This is a flexible plastic ladder, and you have keeping it and fold it in 180 degree. When you will fold this ladder in 180 degree, now the same structure will look like this way. Isn't that? This will look like this way. Are you agree with me?
So this is RNA, sir.
No, this is DNA.
Okay, DNA. Okay.
Actually, DNA look like this one. That is the structure which I have told you to make you understand, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nitrogen base here, and the 5 nitrogen base are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So actually DNA is like this way. So how can we define? So I can say DNA is double stranded, and there are two helix. This one helix, senal. DNA is double stranded and double helical structure. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
100% clear?
Yes, sir.
So generally, standard way, ideally, a DNA is double stranded, double helical structure, where strands are made up of sugar and phosphate, and one DNA have 10 nitrogenous base pairs. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now let me tell you what is the RNA. Actually, DNA makes the RNA, but the length of RNA is not defined. Right? RNA have only one strand, right? So RNA is single stranded. This is RNA. So RNA is always, it is first thing, this is single stranded structure, right? The strand is made up of same thing, sugar and phosphate, sugar plus phosphate. So strands are made up of same thing over here. And as I have already told you that the number of nitrogen bases are uncounted, so they are not fixed over here. Here. Nitrogen bases, right? So these are nitrogen bases. This is a single stranded. So not generally RNA is single stranded structure, and number of nitrogen DNA is double stranded structure. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
But let me tell you, virus can have double stranded as well as single stranded RNA, right? It can have double stranded as well as single stranded DNA. Both can be double and single stranded RNA. Where DNA can never be single stranded in any other organism except virus. RNA can never be double stranded in any organism except virus. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So that is the peculiarity of virus. Please note it down. Then I will show you the diagram of virus. Now you will be able to understand clearly each and everything. Note it down and let me know.
Sir, done.
Okay, great. Rafiq, done?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Great. Look, one more important thing, make a star and note it down. This question have been asked in AIMS examination as well as in medical examination. It's very important. There was a scientist, and the name of the scientist, his statements were asked, and the name taken by Rafiq. When I asked that who given the term virus or who discovered the virus, he called me. What you take the name? Badgering.
Bajanik.
Yeah, Badgering. So Badgering given a statement. He was not aware with the virus. He said, "Contagium vivum fluidum." He said, "Contagium vivum fluidum." This is actually Latin. Contagium vivum fluidum, if we translate it in English, means that is living infectious fluid. Living infectious fluid. He saw that there is some fluid which infect other organism. This fluid transfer from one organism to another, and it infect another organism. And he given the term contagium vivum fluidum. In AIMS, in medical, in NEET, in both of the examination, the question was that who given the statement contagium vivum fluidum, and the answer was Bechdel. So you have to keep this thing in mind, right?
Yes.
Contagium vivum fluidum. Now come to the structure of virus. Let me show you the diagram of virus. I'm going to show you diagram of virus. Right? Living infectious fluid. Viruses. Virus. Yes, yes. Now let me show you the diagram of virus. Actually, this is the standard virus which we study. In fact, this is ideal virus. This is actually the diagram of virus. This is the ideal virus which we study, and the name of the virus is bacteriophage. Bacteriophages are actually those viruses which not infect any plant or animal. Actually, they infect bacteria. Bacterio means bacteria. If we break the term, bacterio means bacteria, and phage terms means eating. Actually, virus cannot eat bacteria. They are the virus which can kill the bacteria. Eating, because phage term means eating. Why the virus cannot eat bacteria? Actually, the size of virus and bacteria, there is a difference of 1000 times. Means like virus is like mouse and a bacteria is like elephant. So this is the huge difference between the size of virus and bacteria. So how can a mouse can eat elephant? So in the same way, virus cannot eat bacteria, but actually if we break the term, bacteriophage means bacteria eating virus, right? Bacteria eating virus, right? So bacteriophage means bacteria eating, right? So this is the structure of virus. These are the virus, and generally we call this part head, and this we call this part neck, we call this part tail sheath, and this we call tail fiber, right? But actually there are two chemical component of the virus. We have already discussed that look, this part, this part is called external covering. This is made up of a protein, and name of the protein is capsid protein. Actually this is poisonous protein. So outer cover is made up of capsid protein. Now the inner part, this may be DNA, or even it may be RNA. Generally this is bacteriophage virus, so genetic material is DNA. So this is the DNA, which is genetic material. Genetic material, right? So this is the structure of virus. You can note it down. Take the screenshot. Clear structure of virus?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now there is a classification of virus. Look. So there are a number of classification of virus. So look. First classification of virus. So note it down. Classification of virus on the basis of shape. Classification of virus on the basis of shape. So on the basis of shape, we classified virus in the following category. Let me show you the category of virus. And you will recognize your favorite virus, coronavirus. Now you have to tell me which kind of the virus is it. Look, there are 4 types of viruses on the basis of their shape, right? The first virus is called helical. So helical virus, this is the genetic material, right? This is RNA actually. and it may be DNA or RNA, and this is protein. So these kind of the virus are called helical virus, and the example is TMV, tobacco mosaic virus. TMV is a helical virus where the inner part is core is made up of RNA and outer part is made up of protein. In the same way, the next virus is polyhedral virus. This is adenovirus. So adenovirus is an example of polyhedral virus. They are this kind of the structure, and this outer covering again it's made up of protein, and again inner covering it is made up of any of genetic material, DNA or RNA. Right? These are the polyhedral virus. The third kind of the virus is spherical. This spherical virus, example influenza virus. Right? Again, the outer part is made up of protein, inner part may be DNA or RNA. The fourth category are complex virus, like bacteriophages, which we have studied. They are this kind of the virus. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So, which category coronavirus belongs to?
Spherical, sir.
Yeah, spherical virus. It look like the same way, right?
Yes, sir.
Taken a screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Great. Rafiq, clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Great. So this was the first means we described the virus on the basis of shape. Next, second point, classification of virus. Classification of virus on the basis of composition. Classification of virus on the basis of composition, right? So on the basis of composition. Look, the first kind of virus are made up of DNA. So inner core is DNA plus protein. These are called, either you call them deoxyvira, or they are also called U virus. U means new virus, right? Again, the second category of virus where inner core is made up of RNA and outer covering is made up of protein. So these are called ribovira, or you also call them retrovirus, right? The next category of the virus. So let me tell you, HIV is a retrovirus. This question has been asked in medical examination. So HIV is a type of retrovirus, right? And TMV is a type of what? Tell me. TMV is a type of retrovirus. Clear? TMV is a type of retrovirus. Next. So those viruses which do not have any protein covering, so either they are part of RNA, either they are made up of only RNA or DNA. One more thing I want to tell you, any virus cannot have both DNA and RNA in the same time. Either it will have DNA or it will have RNA. While DNA and RNA both exist same time in our body, like in animal's body, in plant body, in bacterial body. But in the case of virus, no virus can have both genetic material in the same time. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Next, the viruses which do not have protein, means they are made up of either RNA or DNA. We call these viruses what to say, viron. Yeah, we call them viron. And last but not the least, the viruses which do not have DNA and RNA, they are made up of only protein. We call these viruses prions. Is it clear? Note it down, please. Noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay, should we go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, great. Next, one last thing which I want to add on here. These are also those questions which are frequently asked. So the plant viruses. So those viruses which infect only plant. So plant viruses are called phytophagine. Phytophaginae and NEAE. Phytophaginae NEAE. Phaginae. Now again, those virus which infect animal means animal virus. So animal viruses are called Zoophaginae. 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 And those viruses which infect lower organism. Lower organism means Protista, Monera. These are called Phaginae. Phaginae. So simply they are called Phaginae. Right? Clear?
Yes.
So bacteriophages are a type of Phaginae. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So this was the last thing about the virus. Is it clear to you? All of like all the points clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Please
sir.
note down one last point. Make a note. Note. First, a virus can have either DNA or RNA. A virus can have either DNA or RNA as a genetic material. A virus can have either DNA or RNA as a genetic material. Full stop. It cannot have both. It cannot have both at the same time. It cannot have both at the same time. Full stop. A virus can have both double-stranded DNA and RNA, comma. Virus can have both double-stranded DNA and RNA, comma. Single-stranded DNA and RNA. Right? So this was all about the virus. Any doubt? For both of you, any doubt?
Sir, no, sir.
Still, just keep on studying, and I always appreciate if you have any doubt or if you have any confusion. If you are finding any difficulty, always come with a doubt.
Yes.
So one more thing which I want to bring in your notice, how virus reproduce. So, but this is not important for your like syllabus, but still I want to make in your notice. So this is the way how a virus reproduce. Actually, the virus do not go completely inside it. What happens? This is the virus. This is the bacteriophage virus. Virus comes in contact with any bacteria. After coming in contact, its neck is like a spring. It works like injection. And inside the virus, what is that? Inside the virus, there is genetic material. So inside the virus, it have DNA. It's a genetic material. This is filled inside virus. And outer part is called made up of protein. So what happened? Virus inject genetic material inside the bacteria, and this part remain outside of the virus, and this part is called ghost. What we call ghost. So when protein, this vacant or this empty protein covering fall down, then we call this part ghost. And the infected organism which have taken the bacterial genetic material, this is called host. So bacteria inject its genetic material, viral genetic material. So virus inject its genetic material inside bacteria, so inside host, and after that inside going this part, This genetic material, it multiply. After multiplying, it form inside it forms its protein covering, its DNA, and again reassemble inside the cell. Approximately 200 to 300 viruses develop. When 200 300 virus develop inside any bacteria, they lysis or they break a cell and viruses come out, right?
Yes.
So that's how reproduction in virus. If you want, you can take a screenshot for the sake of your reference, but I do not compel you to write no. This is your own choice, right? One last thing which I want to discuss with you. They were actually the part of the fungi. Generally, we study them as a part of fungi. So these are the lichen and mycorrhiza, right? So we'll study first lichen, then we'll study mycorrhiza. So virus is over. Now the next topic is lichen. So any one of you have any rough idea about the lichen, what exactly they are? Lichens are actually called dual organisms.
Symbiosis, right?
Very good.
They take from fungi.
Right. They are called, they are symbiotic organisms.
One
Right.
prepares food and one gives shelter.
Organism, if I say, means they are made up of, they are not single organism, they are combination of two organisms. So what happened? Let me tell you the structure of lichen. Actually, suppose that it's a lichen. This is actually lichen. So this is actually lichen. So lichen, inside the lichen, there are certain this kind of mycelia, and we have discussed mycelia, what they are mycelia. So this part is their fungal mycelia. The beauty with the fungal mycelia that they are fungi, actually they cannot make their own food. We know they are non-green kind of things. They are non-green organism, hence they are not photosynthetic. So they cannot have capacity. They do not have capacity to produce fuel. So actually, what exactly they can do? They can absorb water. So they absorb water. So water is available for them. And the second important thing that they can take out the mineral from soil. So they absorb water and mineral. In these lichen, there are between the lichen thread, there are certain kind of the cells. They are actually algal cells. So we know algae are a lower kind of the plant. They are lower plant. They are the least developed plant. So they are lower plant. So these are algae. Algae have capacity of photosynthesis. It can make food, but it do not have root-like structure. Hence, they cannot absorb water and mineral. So what happened? Both are helping each other. Nobody is harming another. So what happened? The fungi is giving them mineral and water. In return, algae is giving them food. So both are helping each other. So this kind of the relation is called symbiotic relation. So we can say the symbiotic relationship between algae and fungi or algal and fungal partner is called lichen. So that's why lichen are made up of two organisms. First partner will be algae and second partner will be fungi. So what we use term for them? Look, for lichen, they are combination of algae and fungi. Actually, the algae partner is called phycobiont. Phycobiont. And fungi partner is called mycobiont. Right? So they are made up of two organisms, phycobiont and mycobiont. That's why they are called dual organisms. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Note it down, please. Rafiq, symbiotic relationship clear?
Yes, sir.
Let me know when you complete.
Done, sir.
Okay. So start noting down. Lichens are dual organism. Lichens are dual organism. Full stop. They are permanent association between. Lichens are dual organism. They are permanent association between fungi.
They are permanent.
Association between fungi, that is phycobiont. Fungi, sorry, they are permanent association between fungi, that is mycobiont. Fungi, that is mycobiont, and algae, that is phycobiont. Full stop. There are about 15,000. There are about 15,000 species of lichen. There are about 15,000 species of lichen. There are about 15,000 species of lichen. Full stop. They are found in extreme environmental conditions. They are found in extreme environmental conditions. For example, barren rocks. For example, barren rocks, comma, cooled volcanic lava. Barren rocks, comma, cooled volcanic lava, comma, icy places, sand dunes, etc. Sand dunes, etc. Look, so this is lichen, and keep on writing. They may be of three types. They may be of three types. Look, the lichen can be of three types. Let me tell you what are the types of lichen. So again, on the basis of shape and their structure, we divide lichen in three categories. Lichen. Let me show you the diagram of types of lichen. Stairs. Look, the first category of lichen, let me show you. These are called crustose lichen. This is the first category of lichen. The example is graphis. So graphis is crustose lichen. They look like this way. So these are the crustose lichen. So this one. They are a spherical crust-like structure. They remains stuck with generally the bark of the plant, and sometimes they remains stuck with the rocks, like in Leh Ladakh, this part of India. So they keep on stucking like this way. So these are called crustose lichen. The second lichen, they are called foliose lichen. So this second one, they are called foliose lichen, and this is second one, foliose lichen. In foliose lichen, example is Cora. Okay, and look, So why they are called folios? The term folios means leaves. Actually, their structure look like leaf. So they look like leafy structure, leaf-like structure. They have leaf-like structure. So they appear like leaf-like structure. So they are called folios lichen. So this is the second category of lichen on the basis of structure. And third one is called fruticose, right? Fruticose lichen. So the example is, this is the third one, fruticose lichen. An example is Usnea. So this is third lichen. And in fruticose lichen, actually they have fruitification or reproductive bodies which look like flower. Actually, they are not flower. They are just fruiting structure, means reproductive structure, but they look like stalk. So these are called fruticose lichen. An example is Usnea. So there are three kind of lichen: crustose, foliose, and fruticose. Right? Take this screenshot. And the example of all I have given: Graphis, Cora, and Usnea. Note it down. Some lichen of Arctic region, some lichen of Arctic region are believed to be, some lichen of Arctic region are believed to be 4,500-year old. Some lichen of Arctic region are believed to be 4,500 old. One last point which I want you to note it down. So make a note, both of you, please make a note. When I said make a note, means this is exclusively for your medical exams. Note. Lichens are environmental indicator. Lichens are environmental indicator of air pollution. Lichen are environmental indicator of air pollution. So can you tell me which air and affect lichen, or how we can say they are pollution indicator? So if lichens are dying, what we understand? Look, suppose that if a particular area have lichen and they started dying, means this is clear indicator that sulfur dioxide pollution is increasing in that area. Note it down. The lichen start dying. Lichen starts dying due to
secondary.
Lichen start dying due to sulfur dioxide pollution. Lichen start dying due to sulfur dioxide pollution. Next point. This is Usnea. I have told you. Actually, the fire of forest. When you must have listened number of times that the certain forest have caught fire. How the fire? How the forest caught fire? Nobody is going in the forest with the matchbox. No, it's not like that. Actually, what
Global
happens?
warming, right? Global warming.
No, it's not global warming. It's because of Usnea. You know what happened? So suppose that there are two lichens, like this. There are two bamboo. So bamboo. These are the bamboo string, right? And these bamboo string, this particular part of bamboo, it is covered with the lichen, and these bamboos are rubbing due to the air friction. And due to the air friction, when Usnea is there, Usnea work like matchbox. It caught fire. It caught fire, and due to the Usnea, the fire of forest originate from there. So that's why we call the Usnea is responsible for forest. Clear?
Yes,
This is
sir.
very important question. Note it down. Usnea may produce forest fire in hot season.
Sir,
Actually,
Usnea is a type of fungi.
no, Usnea is a type of this one, third type, fruticose lichen.
Yeah, okay.
Usnea may produce forest fire. right? Clear to both of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the last point of this topic, actually, I told you mycorrhiza. So what are the mycorrhiza actually? Look, let me tell you what are the mycorrhiza. In fact, let me search. Yes, it's there. What happened? There are certain kind of the higher plant which are unable to absorb the water, right? So look, like example, they are mainly gymnosperms. So gymnosperm have a weaker root. They are unable to absorb water. What happened? Around the root of gymnosperm, there are a network or mantle of this is called fungi. So this is fungi. So there is a network or mantle of fungi, and the second partner is that root of plant. So they are actually root. They are a root. So they are root of plant. Now what happens? Root give fungi what? Again, food, because plant have food, and fungi is giving back what? Water plus mineral, water. So these help fungi, these help higher plant to absorb water. So there is also a symbiotic relation. So mycorrhiza, let me write it down the spelling. Mycorrhiza. So actually, mycorrhiza. So mycorrhiza is a symbiotic association between the roots of higher plant and fungi. Note it down. Mycorrhiza is a symbiotic relationship. Mycorrhiza is a symbiotic relationship between the roots of mycorrhiza is a symbiotic relationship between the roots of higher plant. Mycorrhiza is symbiotic relationship between roots of higher plant and the fungi. Full stop. Roots of gymnosperm are less efficient to absorb, less efficient to absorb water. Hence, fungi provide them water, and in return they give food to fungi. In return, they give food to fungi. So clear? Crystal clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now we are going to start next chapter. That is planting. Okay.